What if I told you that every single moment you spend wishing for your dreams, you're actually pushing them further away? What if the reason your manifestations feel stuck in permanent shipping mode isn't because you're not doing enough techniques, but because you're unknowingly practicing the art of not having what you want every single day? Here's the controversial truth that's going to shatter everything you think you know about manifestation. The fastest way to manifest isn't to want harder, hope stronger, or visualize longer. It's to completely stop wishing and start living as the person who already has it. Most people treat manifestation like a cosmic lottery system, crossing their fingers and hoping the universe will eventually deliver their desires if they just want them badly enough. But wanting is the frequency of lack, and every moment you spend wishing for something is a moment you spend broadcasting to the universe that you don't have it yet. The people who seem to effortlessly attract everything they desire aren't better at wanting, they're better at being. They don't spend their time hoping for abundance. They embody abundance. They don't wish for love. They radiate love. They don't dream about success. They think, feel, and act like success is their natural state. If you're tired of feeling like your manifestations are always almost there, but never quite arriving, if you're ready to stop being a professional wisher and start being a master creator, then this message is going to change everything for you. Because today you're going to discover that the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't years of work or perfect techniques. It's one identity shift that can happen the moment you stop living as someone who wants and start living as someone who has. There's this cruel irony about wishing and waiting that most people never realize until they've spent years trapped in its web. When you're constantly hoping for something to arrive, you're unconsciously broadcasting the energy of lack, essentially telling the universe, I don't have this yet, and I need it to come from somewhere outside of me. It's like standing at a bus stop with a sign that says, I don't have transportation, while wondering why the buses keep passing you by. The act of wishing itself creates a vibrational distance between you and your desire, because wishing implies separation from what you want. This constant state of reaching towards something that feels out of reach becomes emotionally exhausting, like trying to hug someone through a glass wall. You can see them, you can almost feel them, but the barrier keeps you forever apart. The emotional burnout that comes from chronic wishing is real and devastating, often showing up as spiritual fatigue, manifestation frustration, or what I call hope hangover. You put so much energy into wanting, visualizing, and affirming, yet your reality stays stubbornly unchanged, leaving you feeling like you're broken or doing something wrong. Think about how it feels to keep checking your bank account, hoping to see a different number, or scrolling through social media hoping to see that perfect relationship post. The disappointment compounds day after day. This pattern actually reinforces the very lack you're trying to escape, because you're practicing the feeling of not having multiple times per day. Your nervous system becomes conditioned to the frequency of longing rather than the frequency of fulfillment, and the act as if law of attraction principle gets completely reversed. Most people don't realize that every moment spent wishing is a moment spent reinforcing their current reality rather than creating a new one. When you live as your future self, you don't wish for things because you already experience them energetically, but when you're stuck in wishing mode, you're constantly reminding yourself of what's missing, what's absent, what you don't have yet. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a giant hole in the bottom. No matter how much hope you pour in, it keeps draining out through the gap of perceived separation. This creates a feedback loop where the more you wish, the more you confirm to your subconscious that you're someone who doesn't have what they want, which then creates more experiences of not having what you want. Here's where everything most people know about manifestation gets flipped upside down. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being, consistently, at the deepest level of your identity. Your desires are like fleeting thoughts, but your identity is like the gravitational pull of your consciousness, constantly attracting experiences that match your core sense of self. When someone truly understands manifestation embodiment, they realize that reality is not a vending machine where you insert your wishes and hope for the best. It's more like a mirror that reflects back whatever you're consistently broadcasting through your being. The quantum field responds to frequency, not desperation, and your identity frequency is your most powerful creative tool. If you identify as someone who struggles with money, you'll keep creating experiences that confirm this identity, regardless of how much you consciously want wealth. This is why you can have two people doing the exact same manifestation techniques. One thrives, while the other stays stuck. The difference isn't in the technique, it's in the identity from which they're operating. The person who succeeds has already shifted their identity to match their desired reality, so their actions, thoughts, and energy naturally align with that new frequency. Meanwhile, the person who struggles is trying to use manifestation techniques to change their circumstances while maintaining the same identity that created those circumstances in the first place. It's like trying to drive to a new destination while your internal GPS is still programmed to take you home. You might take some different routes, but you'll keep ending up in the same place. When you truly live as your future self, you're not trying to manifest from your current identity. You're creating from the identity that already has what you desire. The quantum explanation for this is fascinating. Consciousness collapses infinite potential into specific reality through observation and intention, but the observer's identity determines which potentials become actualized. Your identity acts like a frequency filter that only allows certain experiences to enter your reality while filtering out others that don't match your energetic signature. This is why someone with a lucky identity seems to constantly experience fortunate coincidences, while someone with a victim identity keeps attracting dramatic situations. The quantum field is neutral and responsive. It doesn't care whether your identity serves you or limits you. It simply organizes experiences to match whatever frequency you're consistently broadcasting through your sense of self. This understanding opens the door to something even more profound about the gap between wanting and being. The gap between wanting and being is where most people get trapped for years, spinning their wheels in manifestation limbo without understanding why nothing seems to stick. Wanting creates a vibration of incompletion. It literally means lacking in the energetic realm, while being creates a vibration of wholeness and fulfillment. Your subconscious mind, which runs about 95% of your daily experience, is constantly scanning for evidence to support your core identity beliefs. If your identity says, "I'm someone who wants things but doesn't have them," your subconscious will keep creating experiences that maintain this familiar pattern. It's like having a personal assistant whose job is to prove you right about who you are, even when being right keeps you stuck. The subconscious doesn't care about your conscious desires. It only cares about maintaining consistency with your stored identity programs. This creates what I call the manifestation plateau, where people can visualize, affirm, and take action, but they hit an invisible ceiling because their subconscious identity hasn't shifted to match their conscious goals. You might spend an hour each morning visualizing wealth, but if you spend the rest of your day thinking, feeling, and acting like someone who struggles with money, your subconscious gets 23 hours of evidence that you're still the struggling person. The subconscious operates like a massive computer that's constantly updating its reality program based on your most consistent thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. When there's a conflict between your conscious wants and your subconscious identity, the subconscious always wins because it's running the deeper programming that actually creates your experiences. This is why manifestation embodiment is so crucial. You have to become the person who has what you want at the identity level, not just the desire level. Breaking through this gap requires what spiritual teachers call dying before you die. Letting the old identity that wants and lacks completely dissolve so the new identity that has and is can emerge. This isn't a mental process. It's an energetic transformation that happens when you're willing to release the familiar discomfort of wanting in exchange for the unfamiliar comfort of having. Most people are more addicted to the story of wanting than they are committed to the reality of having, because wanting feels safe and familiar while having requires stepping into unknown territory. The version of you who has what you desire exists right now in the quantum field of infinite possibilities, but you can only access that reality by embodying their identity completely. This means thinking their thoughts, feeling their emotions, making their choices, and carrying their energy until it becomes your new normal, rather than a temporary state you visit during meditation. Here's the radical shift that changes everything. Stop chasing your dreams and start being your dreams in living, breathing form. Most people treat their desired reality like some distant destination they're trying to reach, constantly looking ahead while missing the power of the present moment where all creation actually happens. But when you truly understand how reality works, You realize that your dream isn't something you achieve, it's something you become. The wealthy person isn't someone who got money. They're someone who embodies wealth consciousness. The loved person isn't someone who found the right partner. They're someone who radiates love and worthiness. The successful person isn't someone who achieved success. They're someone who expresses their natural creative power without apology. When you live as your future self in the present moment, you collapse the time and space between where you are and where you want to be. This shift from chasing to becoming is the difference between force and flow, between struggle and grace, between manifestation as work and manifestation as natural expression. When you're chasing outcomes, you're operating from the frequency of not enough and hoping external circumstances will save you from your internal experience of lack. But when you embody the outcome, you're operating from the frequency of already complete and allowing your external circumstances to catch up to your internal reality. It's like the difference between running toward a mirage in the desert versus realizing you're already standing in the oasis. The act as if law of attraction principle works because when you authentically embody the frequency of your desired reality, you're not pretending to be someone else. You're accessing a real aspect of your multidimensional self that exists in the quantum field. This embodiment isn't about faking it until you make it. It's about recognizing that the version of you who has what you desire is already real and accessible through conscious choice in each moment. Every time you choose to think, feel, speak, and act from the energy of your fulfilled self, you're literally shifting your reality at the quantum level. It's like switching radio stations. The music changes instantly when you tune to a different frequency. The dream you've been chasing isn't separate from you. It's an aspect of your own consciousness that you haven't fully claimed yet. When you drop the exhausting pursuit and step into embodiment, you discover that you don't have to become worthy of your dreams. You just have to stop being someone who's unworthy of them. This naturally leads to the practical question of how to activate and stabilize this version of yourself in daily life. The version of you who already lives your desired reality isn't a fantasy. They're a real energetic blueprint existing in the quantum field, waiting for you to activate their frequency through conscious embodiment practices. Think of it like downloading a software update. The new program already exists, but you have to consciously install it and let it overwrite your old operating system. One powerful activation practice is what I call identity time travel, where you spend 20 minutes each morning energetically stepping into the life of your future self. Close your eyes and literally feel yourself walking through a day in their life. How do they wake up? What do they wear? How do they move through their environment? What emotions are they feeling? What thoughts are natural to them? The key is engaging all your senses and emotions as if this experience is happening right now, because to your subconscious mind and nervous system, it is happening right now. Another profound practice is decision point embodiment, where you consciously make every choice throughout your day from the perspective of your future self. When you're deciding what to eat, ask, what would the healthy, vibrant version of me choose? When you're handling money, ask, how would the financially abundant version of me approach this situation? When you're in social situations, ask, how would the confident, magnetic version of me show up here? These aren't just mental exercises, they're acts of manifestation embodiment that literally rewire your neural pathways and energy field to match your desired identity. You can also practice energetic dress rehearsal, where you physically rehearse being your future self. Walk like them, talk like them, breathe like them, sit like them. Your body is an incredibly powerful anchor for energetic states, and when you change your physiology, you change your frequency. The most advanced activation technique is quantum identity anchoring, where you create specific triggers that instantly reconnect you with your future self's energy throughout the day. This might be a particular piece of jewelry you wear that represents your empowered identity, a specific song that makes you feel unstoppable, or a power pose you do before important meetings. You can also practice environmental programming by organizing your physical space to support your new identity, displaying images that represent your desired reality, keeping books that inspire your growth visible, or simply arranging your home like someone who naturally receives abundance would maintain their environment. The goal is to live as your future self so consistently that your old identity starts to feel foreign and uncomfortable, while your new identity becomes your natural default mode. But activation is only the beginning. You also need to understand the frequency of certainty that makes these changes permanent. The frequency of certainty is the secret sauce that transforms manifestation from struggle to surrender, from hoping to knowing, from effortful action to inspired flow. When you operate from certainty, you're not trying to convince the universe to give you something. You're simply aligning with a reality that you already know is yours. It's the difference between praying for something to happen versus giving thanks that it's already done. This frequency feels like the quiet confidence you have when you know your favorite restaurant will have your usual table ready, or the calm assurance you feel when you know your best friend will answer your call. There's no anxiety, no desperation, no need to control the how or when, just peaceful knowing that what's meant for you is already on its way. When you live as your future self from this place of certainty, you stop checking for evidence and start allowing evidence to appear naturally. Certainty is more powerful than external effort because it aligns you with the quantum field's natural responsiveness to consciousness. When you're certain, you're not sending mixed signals. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all broadcasting the same coherent frequency. This creates what physicists call coherent energy, which has exponentially more creative power than scattered or conflicted energy. Think about how much energy people waste in doubt, worry, and trying to figure out how their manifestations will unfold. All that mental and emotional energy could be channeled into simply maintaining the frequency of fulfillment. The act as if law of attraction principle works because when you authentically feel as if something is already done, you naturally think, speak, and act in ways that create evidence of that reality. You stop pushing against what you don't want and start flowing toward what you do want. The challenge is that most people try to build certainty on top of their existing doubt rather than releasing the doubt completely. True certainty isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of knowing that transcends circumstantial evidence. You cultivate this frequency by deciding that your desired reality is inevitable and then refusing to entertain thoughts or feelings that contradict that decision. This isn't denial or delusion, it's loyalty to your chosen reality. When you make this shift, you'll notice that inspired actions start flowing naturally. Synchronicities increase and opportunities appear without forced effort. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to unfold through your aligned being. This leads directly to the practical application of how to maintain this elevated frequency in your daily routine. Living from the future isn't about escaping the present moment. It's about bringing the energy of your desired reality into your current experience through conscious daily choices that reinforce your new identity. Start with what I call morning identity calibration. Before you check your phone or engage with the external world, spend the first 30 minutes of your day consciously stepping into the frequency of your future self. This might include meditation, where you feel gratitude for your manifested desires, journaling from the perspective of someone who already has what you want, or simply sitting quietly and breathing in the energy of fulfillment. You could also read a few pages from books that match your desired identity. If you're calling in wealth, study the mindset of successful entrepreneurs like those found in Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill or The Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. The key is starting each day from your elevated frequency rather than your default programming. Throughout your day, practice micro-embodiment moments, brief instances where you consciously choose to live as your future self in small but meaningful ways. This might mean walking with the confidence of someone who knows they're valued, speaking with the authority of someone who trusts their wisdom, or handling money with the ease of someone who naturally attracts abundance. You could also implement identity-based choices. When deciding what to eat, choose what your healthy future self would enjoy. When shopping, buy items that your abundant future self would naturally select. When interacting with others, communicate from the love and respect your empowered future self embodies. These aren't massive life changes. They're subtle frequency adjustments that add up to a complete identity transformation over time. Evening practices anchor your new frequency before sleep, when your subconscious is most receptive to programming. Try future self-gratitude, where you give thanks for things that haven't manifested yet, as if they already have. Feeling genuine appreciation for the perfect relationship, the ideal home, the thriving business that exists in your quantum reality. You might also practice identity affirmation recording, where you record yourself speaking as your future self about your beautiful life. Then listen to your own voice describing your reality as if it's already done. Create a future self environment in your bedroom. Arrange photos, objects, or written goals that represent your desired reality so that it's the last thing you see before sleep and the first thing you encounter upon waking. The goal is to make manifestation embodiment your new normal, rather than something you only do during designated spiritual practice time. The final realization that transforms everything is this: you're not trying to attract something foreign into your reality. You're remembering and reclaiming what has always been yours in the quantum field of infinite possibilities. Everything you desire is already encoded in your energetic blueprint. You're just learning to access frequencies that have been dormant in your consciousness. It's like discovering that you've been living in a mansion, but only using one room because you forgot about the rest of the house. Your desired reality isn't separate from you. It's an aspect of your own multidimensional nature that you're finally giving yourself permission to embody. When you truly understand this, manifestation stops feeling like begging the universe for favors and starts feeling like coming home to who you've always been, beneath the layers of conditioning and limitation. This shift from attracting to remembering changes your entire relationship with manifestation, because you realize you're not trying to become worthy of your dreams. You're simply releasing whatever made you forget that you already are worthy. The wealthy version of you isn't someone you need to become. It's someone you need to remember you already are. The loved version of you isn't someone who learned to be lovable. It's someone who stopped believing they were unlovable. The successful version of you isn't someone who developed new skills. It's someone who stopped hiding their natural brilliance. When you live as your future self, you're not playing a role or pretending to be someone else. You're finally being authentic to your true nature without the filters of fear and limitation that have been distorting your expression. This understanding makes manifestation embodiment feel effortless because you're no longer working against your nature. You're simply allowing your authentic frequency to shine through without interference. You stop trying to fix, heal, or improve yourself and start celebrating and expressing the magnificent being you already are. The act as if law of attraction becomes natural because you're not acting, you're being. You're not pretending to have what you want. You're remembering that in the quantum realm you already do have it. All that remains is bringing this inner knowing into outer expression through your thoughts, words, actions, and energy. When you live from this place of remembrance, life becomes a joyful adventure of discovery rather than a desperate struggle for survival, and every day offers new opportunities to express more of your authentic magnificence. So here's my challenge for you, and I want you to feel this question deep in your bones. What would change in your life today if you completely stopped wishing for what you want and started living as the person who already has it? How would you walk differently? How would you speak differently? How would you make decisions differently if you truly embodied the identity of someone who naturally receives everything they desire? I want to know, what's one thing you're going to stop wishing for and start being today? What aspect of your future self are you ready to embody right now, not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but in this very moment? Share it in the comments below, because your commitment to embodiment might be exactly what someone else needs to see to finally stop waiting and start living as their highest self. And listen, if something shifted inside you while watching this, if you felt that spark of recognition that you've been approaching manifestation backwards this whole time, then you absolutely cannot miss the video that's appearing on your screen right now. I'm about to reveal the specific daily embodiment practices that I use to live as my future self so consistently that my old limitations literally can't find me anymore. This is the missing piece that separates people who occasionally manifest small things from those who live in permanent alignment with their dream reality. Don't let this moment of clarity fade back into old patterns of wishing and waiting. Your future self is depending on the choice you make right now to finally stop hoping and start being. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because your journey to master manifestation embodiment, learn to live as your future self, and activate the act as if law of attraction as your natural way of being is just beginning. And I have so much more life-changing wisdom to share with you about becoming the living embodiment of everything you've ever desired.